I just got back from the movie theater seeing Christopher Nolan's brand new movie and Christopher Nolan's take on Homer's The Odyssey, his brand new, nearly almost 3-hour long epic, right after Oppenheimer, the Oppenheimer 3-hour long movie about the nuclear bomb that he just made. This is his brand new, nearly 3-hour long epic. He announced it. He also announced this is also going to be his very first, or not very first, but his final attempt and his successful attempt of filming a movie on entirety on IMAX cameras. Every single thing, every shot, every part of this movie is filmed on 70mm IMAX camera and IMAX footage and strips and stuff, which he's very proud of, and a huge reason why they couldn't do that in the first place on any other movie that was also obviously aired on IMAX screens was IMAX cameras are very loud and noisy. You can look up some behind the scenes footage up on YouTube, but very loud and noisy. I'll probably play some behind the scenes in here as well, but they're very loud and noisy cameras. So he had IMAX build custom housing technology. It was like a giant box, but you can use a giant box for like other stuff like precision moving and higher shots and editing and whatnot. But the giant box basically nullified the sound that the IMAX camera made. It basically hid the sound, so you didn't really hear the loud cranking of the of the films. So, which was a lot better for not just the director and the editors and stuff like that, but also, the movie actors and actresses. Like, they could hear the sound. It was very loud, very annoying, very obnoxious for the entire crew. The people behind the camera and also in front of the camera, everyone didn't really care for the loud, obnoxious cranking of the reels that IMAX cameras saw down. And one thing that was cool about IMAX cameras is each film is 3 minutes long. They only shoot 3 minutes of film per shot. So if you think about that, in a 3-hour long movie, I'm not going to do the math right now, but that's a lot of one, it's a lot of shots, and two, that's just a lot of 3 minutes pausing every 3 minutes stuff just for maybe a 30-minute scene. That's a lot of 3 minutes right there. What I'm saying, it's very impressive what Christopher Nolan and his entire team, his entire cast was able to craft and come up with. And honestly, I'm just gonna say here right now, but you'll definitely see as this movie goes and the longer you stay and watch this movie, Christopher Nolan is just straight up the Picasso of movie directors. If not just movie directors, just movie artists in general. He's one of the best people in the movie filmmaking industry right now, if I had to say so. He just, everything Christopher Nolan touches, it's mostly going to turn into gold. He has a lot of solid bangers from the box office over the past couple decades. Batman Begins was 75%, which that's still really good. And then you had The Dark Knight, which was I think in the 90s, and then Dark Knight Rises is low 80s, but still that's really staying good for for a DC movie trilogy, let alone Batman trilogy. Honestly, is that the Dark Knight Batman trilogy was just a banger in my opinion. Christopher Nolan, Kristen Bell, Heath Ledger, everyone, they did a phenomenal job. I think all the actors did a great job of that movie with Selena Kyle and Ra's al Ghul, Scarecrow, etc. I'm going to stop talking about Batman, but I'm just saying, that was from my first Christopher Nolan movie I've ever seen, was that trilogy. But yeah, I mean, he has other great movies. Interstellar, like I said before, Oppenheimer. I haven't seen Oppenheimer, but I've seen a lot of good things. I heard a lot of great things about Oppenheimer. I might check it out. I will say on Barbenheimer Day, I went to go see Barbie over Oppenheimer. I still don't regret that decision. I really enjoy my time with Barbie. I thought it was a fun time in theaters. But I don't know. I don't think Oppenheimer's a movie for me. It seems very slow and boring. And I know about most of the atom bombs just from history class. But I don't know, I may rewatch Oppenheimer to see the epicness and the scale and scope of that film. Just like Christopher Nolan, he's just really good at the scale and scope and like just the world building in general. And one of my favorite things, besides the soundtrack is phenomenal with this movie. Every class, every lightning or drum beat, everything that's coming like out of the speakers, like you hear it crashing and banging and smashing on the walls. Like you hear it throughout, vibrating throughout the theater. It's a really loud, bombastic sound design and soundtrack. Both sound design and soundtrack is very loud and bombastic, but it makes for a one heck of an epic sounding movie in theaters, and it's something you have to go to the theaters to witness for this amazing just mix of sound. It has a really good sound mix audio. Props to the audio department is what I'm saying. The audio department did a really great job with this one. Phenomenal job. They all deserve a raise in my opinion. It's just the mix of audio that they did. Good. It's like I was saying, one of my favorite things with Christopher Nolan, besides its amazing sound, is the practical effects, the practical sets and stuff. Even with the sounds, like when there's like loud drums played by Travis Scott. Travis Scott's an actor in this movie and famous musical rapper personality. But even in this movie, he plays like a drum guy for about like 30 to 45 seconds. But yeah, it's cool that Travis Scott's in this movie, I guess. But yeah, like even the drums that Travis Scott's banging on, they're all practical. And like when they're in the water, when they're in the ship, that's all practical. Like they're actually on the ship in the water, going to like 9-10 different countries, which is really cool in my opinion. A lot of variety and versatile in different land masses and escapes and stuff in this movie. Really cool. You can tell like they spent a lot of time on this movie. They took a lot of time and effort on this movie. I think the movie was made like 6 months or so. Like I know at least they had like from start to finish, back to back, 91 days of filming, and they were going after 100, but they were able to end up wrapping up early because everyone was just done, exhausted and tired, and was ready to end the movie. But he thought they all did a good job. They deserved to end sooner than later, and what they had was a phenomenal final product for them to start splicing and cutting and editing together. And also, what I like about the whole practical effects for the movie, you didn't just see practical effects on screen, even behind screen, like behind the movie where they actually make the movie in the editing bay, in the laboratory, whatever you want to call it. They didn't edit this movie on computer. They cut it and spliced it with real life film and scissors and glue tapes and tape in general. Like they're splicing and cutting actual film together. And when it came to the color the color correction was all done by hand. Like they had the film strips laid out on paper, and then they had about like 6 to 12 different standard color palettes of your dark colors, your light colors, your neutral colors, and so on, and your normal colors. And every time they wanted to test a different filter for the movie, they were bring that color down on, and hover it and place it on the film strip and see how that color affects the shot of the movie. And I don't know, I just thought all that being made, all that hand by hand stuff that they did for this movie, very, very, very impressive, and you're not going to see it anywhere else besides this movie. Like I said, they spent a lot of time with this movie. You can tell it's very, it's made with love. It's made with passion, and that's the great, best thing and great thing about movies is the better that the movies are made with love and passion, the more detailed in the world building, and the escapism of the world is and happening in the movie. And that's why we go see movies, is to escape into another reality. That's another reason why we play video games. Escape into another reality, experience a different story, and just relax from our current reality. And that's the best thing about film. And this is a cinematic masterpiece of a film. It's just, it's amazing from start to end. Like the Cyclops, even though not really practical, freaking badass. You see him barely sometimes in the trailer, like a couple shots in the trailer. The giant metal people that they fight in the forest, that scene, that was awesome. They were amazing, like giant metal giants. Freaking awesome armor, everything practical. Their armor practical. The Greek armor that the main soldiers, Odysseus' soldiers, that they're wearing, all practical. And like I said, I think I mentioned it earlier, star-studded cast. You have Zendaya as Athena. Zendaya plays Athena. Like I said, Odysseus, that's his, this is his story. The Odyssey is the story of Odysseus and his crew going from Ithaca to Troy and invading Troy with a giant Trojan horse, and then going to the underworld and all the way back home to Ithaca, and that giant 10-year-long journey. And it's an epic. It's one of the building blocks of epic storytelling that the Western side of the hemisphere uses when it comes to their story. Is one of the most number one influential story pieces and building blocks of epic narration that it's built and inspired on and stuff like that. That's why I love Homer's The Odyssey. It's a great inspirational story that gets told in different ways, and this is definitely another adaptation on this movie. Matt Damon plays Odysseus, which Matt Damon does a phenomenal job playing Odysseus. I think the casting of Odysseus as Matt Damon was unexpected. Hey, expect the unexpected, because Matt Damon, he brings it, he gives it his all. He was really in it, kind of method acting. He was just living that character for the entire time that they were on set filming. Tom Holland as Matt Damon's son, Demetrius or whatever. Tom Holland's in this movie, does a phenomenal job. He's Tom Holland, but even though he's Tom Holland being Tom Holland, he does a phenomenal job as the character he plays, and it's just great to see Tom Holland in other roles besides Peter Parker / Spider-Man. Speaking about Tom Holland, Zendaya, I mentioned earlier, Zendaya is in this movie as well. Also, Anne Hathaway. Anne Hathaway plays Penelope. But yeah, Anne Hathaway is in this movie, plays the wife of Odysseus, the wife of Matt Damon's character. It's nice to see Anne Hathaway in another movie. I'm used to seeing, and I'm more familiar with Anne Hathaway from the Devil Wears Prada franchise. Apparently, she did Catwoman. I don't really remember that, but yeah, apparently Anne Hathaway was in Catwoman. I think she was actually Catwoman in the Christopher Nolan series, so that makes sense. But yeah, nice to see Anne Hathaway back here. Like I said, Travis Scott on the drums. Robert Pattinson. Speaking about Batman, you have the emo edgelord Batman himself, Robert Pattinson, in this movie. It's nice to see Robert Pattinson in another role. He's always surprising and impressive in the roles that he plays. I just love every character that he's been him playing in every role. Yeah, even as far back with Edward from the Twilight series. I love the Twilight movies. They were really fun movies in my opinion, and I think Edward, well, both actors for Edward and Jacob were phenomenal in that trilogy in my opinion. But yeah, Robert Pattinson, he plays kind of like a bad guy in this movie, which he's good at playing bad guys. He's also good at playing good guys, like we've seen the Batman, and obviously soon to be the Batman Part 2 come 2028. John Bernthal, speaking about superhero and anti-hero, John Bernthal's in this movie. He plays a character, I forgot his name, but yeah, John Bernthal, he plays like a king, a bald king in this movie, so it's funny to see John Bernthal with a bald cap. I doubt he shaved his head. I'm assuming it's just a bald cap. But it's nice to see John Bernthal in this movie. He did a really good job. Benny Safdie is in this movie. Unexpectedly to see him, but it's nice to see him in this movie. But yeah, like I said, this movie is star-studded A-list cast from start to finish. Every actor and actress did a phenomenal job portraying their character. And yeah, the star-studded cast, I think all the practical effects was awesome. There was one scene that was a practical effect that a lot of the actors and actresses were very impressed by, and they didn't know how it was going to go down. But it ended up, they had to bury alive 25 actors underneath some sand, and they actually buried them in the sand, but they gave them a snorkel tube to suck up oxygen and like breathe in oxygen through snorkel tubes. And they also had like plenty of personnel on set, so to make sure no one got damaged or hurt or died or whatever. So plenty of health personnel and snorkel tubes to breathe in oxygen. But yeah, they had to all get up out of the sand at a certain time all together, and if one didn't get up on time, then they had to redo it, which a lot of people got pissed off at. So yeah, really job well done. Fantastic, phenomenal movie. I highly recommend it. In any format. I saw it widescreen. I definitely want to go back and see it in IMAX. Definitely pay for it next time. I saw it for free because I saw it at the theater that I work at, but which only had widescreen, which kind of sucked. But yeah, if you can see it in IMAX or even better, IMAX 70mm, definitely go see it in 70mm. There's only about 25 theaters in the United States that had 70mm IMAX. Everything else is like laser/digital IMAX. So I definitely recommend it. Go see IMAX if you can get an IMAX ticket. If not, it's fine seeing it in standard widescreen. I saw it in standard widescreen. It's not that bad. It's a 59% cutoff from the 100% IMAX 70mm, but you take your apples with your oranges. You can still see a good majority, a good chunk of the movie. You don't really miss much from the IMAX cutoff besides like full body or like hair shots or shots of nature and stuff. But you still get all the action in the standard wide shot. You still get a good chunk of nature and body shot in the standard wide shot. So you're really not missing that much. But if you can see it in IMAX or better yet, IMAX 70mm, I recommend those format. Maybe 4DX is some premium type format. I definitely recommend that. Might be a better viewing of this movie. But yeah, just cinematic masterpiece of a movie. This movie is a banger from start to finish. The soundtrack, it's bombastic and epic. The story, slow at times, but when it's slow at times, I think the bombastic soundtrack and the scalability and the size and scope really matches that slow at times energy and kind of makes up for it in my opinion. Just the scope and the scale, it's awesome. It's phenomenal. They did a phenomenal job of this movie. It's glad to see Christopher Nolan back on top. This movie is his highest rated movie so far, and I understand why. The choice of making this all in IMAX with IMAX cameras in mind, with, just not in mind, but also with IMAX cameras, badass, awesome choice. I can totally see why he went down this pipeline and went this route. It definitely shows and bring a more larger to life and more crispier experience when it came to the movie scenes in the movie. movie. It is overall a better footage and better viewing of the movie. I just think job well done. I can definitely see this movie winning tons of rewards in the future, and I honestly, Christopher Nolan, he deserves it. He deserves every reward he gets for this movie, because this movie is a cinematic masterpiece. Job well done. I want to see it. I want to see it again. I want to see it in IMAX. I want to eventually own it. I want to definitely somehow get it physical. I just don't have a Blu-ray player. Maybe get like a old PS3 or old X. This has been my thoughts, opinions on Christopher Nolan's take on Homer's The Odyssey, or simply Christopher Nolan's The Odyssey, made with IMAX cameras and IMAX in mind, but still phenomenal on any screen possible to view this epic film on. This movie is a adaptation of the original classic epic Homer's The Odyssey, and this movie is nonetheless an epic in itself. It's a visual stunning movie from start to finish. Yeah, there's some dark scenes, but this movie is not all completely dark. There is some light and vibrant scenes throughout the film. Again, cinematic masterpiece. I highly recommend seeing this movie in IMAX if you can. And until then, tell me what you thought in the comments below. This is me, been me reviewing The Odyssey. Good night until a brand new day.